I can't say I'm surprised by the Nintendo Switch presentation being disappointing enough. With Nintendo's track record of late, they haven't shown interest in anything but money, and they do it by retro pandering, as people have said. What warrants the video, however, I am going to get to. I will say that the Switch is, of course, an interesting concept, and luckily the portable screen is smaller than the Wii U's gamepad, though the button size is concerning. However, the controls aren't an innate concern, because the NES controller remote uses analog sticks, which has been a thing in Super Bomberman, though it's not like I can adjust. Thankfully, despite Super Bomberman's underwhelming amount of edited, that game was still a blast, no pun intended. Though it seems like there is display delay, because I swear whenever I got hit, the rumble came a significant portion of a second before I actually saw it. Breath of the Wild was poorly presented, because there was no significant combat involved. In the time I got to play it, I got to fight only pathetic mooks. No puzzles either, just cutscenes in general. That's a very bad way to advertise a key game of yours. So nothing else really impressed or interested me, and this includes Splatoon 2, where I actually ended up against a professional around 7:20 p.m. And even with my lack of experience in the game, combined with one of my teammates being a kid, the defeat margin against my team was only 1%. Ultimately, though, I don't feel Splatoon has that much depth despite the territory concept, and I can be sure that, surprise surprise, the pound bounces off anyway. This is, however, more than I can say about ARMS. ARMS has completely counterintuitive controls. You think Kid Icarus Uprising as back controls? I've dealt with Kid Icarus Uprising's back controls on a consistent basis. Kid Icarus Uprising is complaint-worthy for awarding shallow gameplay as its problem. At least in Kid Icarus Uprising, you could use the analog stick to move. ARMS has you need to tilt the freaking Switch controllers or whatever to move. Why? I should not need more than the D-pad or analog stick or whatever to play the godforsaken game. In case you can guess, that's a nice part about the controls. Attacking isn't even a worse mess, where you have to do these various random for their own sake things to do whatever you want. I should not need button and movement combinations just to be able to play the bloody game. Oh, and it gets better. The tutorial sucks. It does not teach you how to do things well. Probably because the controls suck to begin with. But what really becomes stupid about it is that the opponent in the tutorial gets to attack you, so they can keep you from learning the damn game! Splatoon doesn't have this problem, because it puts you in a negative space field to make sure you understand the controls, and you only need one button to attack anyway. There is simply no excuse for ARMS to pull this stupidity. And just in case you think there's any depth in the gameplay to justify the control scheme, there isn't. It's just yet another button mash where the combat as a whole absolutely makes no sense. Kid Icarus Uprising is deep compared to this, and that's saying something. And that's aggravated by how power attacks have nothing useful to them except, oh my god, more damage, LOL, which naturally do not justify their drawbacks. Seriously, why does the power arm not have priority? I just think that's the end. I myself wish it wasn't, because that's because this video wouldn't exist if not for what I'm going to bring up soon enough. Because Nintendo thinks that this piece of counterintuitive shallow poop they call ARMS as its main highlight. Oh, but wait, they can go with Mario Kart because it's random. They can go with Super Bomberman because it's a free-for-all game. They can go with Splatoon because it needed too many people. Well then, Nintendo, come up with something more creative, especially if you're going to point at someone's creativity. This is hubris at its finest! As a disclaimer, this annoys me on its own, in case you couldn't tell. I provide the disclaimer, because I do need to mention that I came to the event hoping to be able to talk with Nintendo's employees about game design stuff, and hope I could get a super positive reaction from them. I'll link to the page then showing what I was planning to show in the description. What happened, unfortunately, was that no such opportunity even presented itself, because anybody I tried to talk to about this stuff, including the employees, showed quarter-hearted interest at best. This is why I am posting the video, because my trip reminded me of how people are such god-awful disappointments. I should mention that one of the Nintendo brand ambassadors was a female who, being in charge of the Super Bomberman station I was at, said she was impressed with how I did in Super Bomberman. But when I tried to show her my game design papers, she wasn't willing to use her cell phone to snapshot the papers to show other people. But oh, she uses it to record Nintendo's obviously loud event on video, which inevitably uses up more data space. What? That's a good portion of my problem. People are only interested in loud stuff from rich people. Nintendo exploits this, of course, but there's something they can even exploit in the first place. I've also noticed the general visitors, not all of them, of course, but plenty, had Asian tanning. Obviously, racial stuff isn't going to be so all-encompassing, but there was plenty of arrogance going around with them. For that reason, I swear to God, you could stereotype gamers as smug Asians who think they're all that. I already get the adjective part down so often, and that becomes even worse in hindsight, because we could have our big bad explanation to why gaming has too much hostility boiled down to race and the negative part of another country's culture. Race or not, though, this audience I talked about was still insistent on being hive-minded sadists. Where I'm ultimately going with this is that people claim that games are about not their rules, but encouraging to be friendly to each other and everything. Yeah, I'm totally seeing it. That's why I'm making this video. Wait a minute.